Many years ago, Sharon Saberton's brother introduced her to cute puppies like these. That was the start of a very long love affair with greyhound racing for Sharon.
My brother was a licence holder about 35 odd years ago, or probably more than that now, and he had a litter of pups, and I was at school and I went to see them and I was hooked from that day. Never stopped going down there.
And you were very young, weren't you?
I was 11, so yes, that's basically when it started, just through going to see a litter of pups.
Was it that young that you decided you wanted your career to be in greyhound racing?
I always told my family that I was going to be a greyhound trainer, and they used to say I'd grow out of it eventually, and I never did. So I just got more and more dogs, because we started with very few dogs and it just kept getting bigger and bigger.
And what do your family think of it now, and your brother?
My brother's, he was in racing until about 10 years ago, so he actually went out of racing 10 years ago, but he was with me all the time up till then. So, he was the big influence for getting involved in the first place.
Yourself and your partner Jo are very much at the centre of things here, running it between the two of you. You've been together 10 years. How did you guys meet?
Jo actually used to deliver the meat for the dogs. So we got chatting and ended up together. And he had a licence as well for training, so he'd already been from the greyhound back industry as it was.
It's pretty important, isn't it, to meet someone with the same interests, because it is such a way of life, especially this setup that you've got here.
Absolutely, it's long hours, tiring, and you don't really have time for anything else. There's no other hobbies. The greyhounds are your hobby, they're your work, they're everything really. So it's important that you both have the same aims in it.
And presumably for you personally, when you have between 10 and 15 greyhounds in your house, you need someone to be quite understanding when you say you're bringing another one indoors.
I don't normally ask. I normally bring the dog in, and sometimes no one notices for a little while because there's so many of them in there. But yeah, it's getting them off the sofas, getting a place to sit, because it's like they're on your seats. So it's managing to fit everyone on a seat or getting the dogs off. But yeah, you've got to love them because they're all around you all the time.
You've been at Peterborough about 30 years. How is life at Peterborough? Do you enjoy it?
Yes, it's my home track, and everywhere, so yeah, it's comfortable. And I've grown up, as the track's grown, I've grown with it. So yeah, it was always the way to be. I didn't want to be anywhere else, just Peterborough.
Would you say that you're quite different to a lot of other greyhound trainers in the way you approach things?
Yeah, probably because of the rehoming side. The ultimate aim for me is the rehoming. So yeah, in that respect, that's the important thing for me, that they all get home at the end of it.
How much do you enjoy your racing?
I enjoy the racing, but it all becomes intertwined. So I enjoy the racing because I know whatever happens, the dogs will come home, they'll get homes. So whatever happens at the track, there'll always be a plus side of it when they get home. They'll always come home, regardless of what happens.
So many years in the sport, what's been the best dog that you've trained?
That I've trained would be Droopy's Alvera. He was finalist in the Peterborough Puppy Derby. He was favourite actually, but he messed his lines up on the night, unfortunately. But that was the highlight for me. Years ago, one of them first pups that we had, she actually was track record holder at Cambridge and Ipswich and Rye House at the time. She was a marathon bitch, and she won sort of 40 opens. And some people still remember us, what I call the old school. She was called Cuckoo Bridge, and she was just an absolute diamond of a dog.
Do you still harbour ambitions to win the big races, not just at your track, but perhaps to go around the country with an open race and compete in competitions? I think open racing is hard because it's sort of a different ball game to your bread and butter dogs at the track, because you are on the move all the time. You're planning, and almost becomes an extra job on top of the ones you've got. But yeah, if you get the right dogs, but they don't come along, very often. So we do go open racing, but we just don't have lots of open races. A lot of trainers will race and breed, but you don't get too many that race, breed and rehome. How did all that come about for you?
It just all fell into place, to be honest. It wasn't something that was planned. It's just the owners have decided that they wanted to breed some of their bitches, and they were good bitches, so we went along with it. We've always bred odd litters. It just seems this last 12 months it's sort of flourished into that everyone's decided that their bitches want to breed. So, and it might be the way forward. There's less dogs around. So hopefully, some homebreds will do better.
What do you make of the state of the industry, and if you could change anything, what would it be?
Me personally would probably be different from most people is definitely the welfare. I definitely think a lot more dogs should be rehomed than what they are. But I think that's a lot to do with finances. There must be a way of making it work, whether it's subsidised or in some way for the trainers and the owners. I think a lot more would be rehomed.
Now based here in Spalding, your property is lovely. You've got so much land here, dogs are everywhere of all ages, right through from 3 weeks to probably 15 years old, and 4 legs, 3 legs. Was this your dream as a little girl?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. To have the land. We had a smaller kennels before I moved here. We didn't live on the property. We had sort of an acre, and then it got too small, and the idea was to find somewhere just like this, and it's perfect.
So you've achieved your dream. What sort of ambitions do you have left?
I think everyone has the ambition to win the Derby, but only one person a year will win it. If I can stay like this and maintain this, I would be happy. That would be absolutely what I would want.